Hey, welcome back to another edition of Limited Skills. I'm James.
And I'm Brandon.
And we are drafting Hour of Devastation. The only reason I got that right is because it's written on the screen.
Where? What?
Where it says Adobe Premiere, and then the file location,
Our
Hour
file
of Devastation.
name. Okay, good cheat. Otherwise, who knows? We're drafting Apocalypse.
That'd be sweet.
Okay,
So what are you drafting?
flip to the... I'm drafting Grinded to Dust.
What does that even do?
So Grind puts...
okay.
Puts a minus counter on each of two target creatures. You can't put them both on the same creature, which a lot of people get confused about.
Sure.
And then Dust will exile any number of target creatures with -1 counters.
Oh,
that card's an amazing blowout.
Yeah.
I was real excited. I knew it seemed pretty good, and then as soon as I drew it the first time through the night, I was like, oh wow, this card is nuts. So I was really happy to get that. It's removal, but it's removal for 2 creatures, sometimes more.
Yeah. And then you follow up with presumably a Braid. But there are other good things in this pack, right? Maybe?
There are a few good things there. A Braid is certainly the best pick. It doesn't fit into the black or white thing that I just took. But we're only on pick 2, so I could take a Foil Mountain.
Get your mana in early.
I go for a Braid. It's the right decision. I could abandon black and white at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not married to your picks just because you took one rare. Especially, I mean, like, if your rare was... What's the dragon? The Glorybringer?
Yeah.
Then maybe you would commit.
Oh yeah, you put a ring on that.
So now what are our choices? There's a bunch of
So
red
I
in
see
this pack.
a few removal that I like a lot. So Open Fire is sweet. Sandblast is pretty good if you're in white. It's not as good as Open Fire because you can, it's not conditional like Sandblast is. And then there's I forget what it is, but the Strictly Better Arrest that gains you life when you have a desert, which is also really good removal.
Oh, yeah.
So I went with the Open Fire because I knew what Braid was. I like Open Fire more than those other two, and then to complement and follow up with a Braid. So at this point, I'm leaning pretty comfortably into red because that's really good 2 and 3-drop removal.
Yeah.
And Open Fire can double up as Burn to their face to close out the game. Now, I'm still real excited about Grind to Dust. I ended up getting to draft a lot of cards tonight that I didn't necessarily get to play a whole lot before.
Yeah, I hadn't seen many of the spells that you drafted tonight.
On the flip side, Leave to Chance is a weird spell that a lot of people made fun of me for playing a week or two earlier, where they thought, that card's not very good. That card is nuts, so I was real happy to take Leave to Chance here.
So explain to me why it's nuts.
Okay, first off, people aren't expecting you to unsummon your own creatures in white.
Yeah.
So if you're not playing blue, they're really not expecting you to bounce something back to your hand where you can reuse, it comes into play effect and whatnot. And also, Chance is 4 mana to cycle any number of cards from your hand.
Oh.
That's exactly what it does for 4 mana. And it also lets you cycle any excess lands you already put into play, or whatever garbage spells.
Yeah.
I very frequently... even if you just bounce 2 lands back to your hand with Leave, that's still just draw 2 cards and red for 4 mana.
Yeah, that's true.
But I very consistently would get some kind of combat trick out of saving a creature and then ditching it to draw a card if it was an early chump blocker.
Take the little archer.
Yeah, so I think at this point that was my first creature. So everything I'd taken previously will trigger its ability. So I'm thinking, I'm just going to ping him for 1 damage at a time with this little guy.
Get there. Ooh, Ambuscade. That's a little weird.
It is the best card in this pack. But I'm not going to go into green for it. Sandblast is a really good card for me already having something I want to play in white.
Mm. And hey, your little archer
Yeah.
can follow up on a Sandblast. I like the idea that you just got 1 creature and then 23 removal spells.
Yeah. That's not too far from the truth, as this will show. So this next pick isn't something I normally gravitate towards, but I've had this Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs do a lot of damage to me in games already. So I just went for that. My thought was, I've already piled up a little bit of removal. Maybe all I need to do is just try and survive and ping them out with effects like the Firebrand Archer or the Little Wall. And maybe just nickel and dime them down while I just stay alive.
Okay. So based on that strategy, you have Steadfast Sentinel, which is life gain, I think, right? And then you have the Solitary Camel, which is
Also life gain.
Also life gain.
Yeah.
Or you could pick the Firebrand Archer. So how do you decide which game plan to go down?
I generically like this camel the most of those things, just as far as its mana curve and size. The Firebrand Archer probably would have been better for my deck. But at this point in the draft, I didn't know that, and I don't think that's something that could be a right or wrong call.
Sure.
I think either of those would have been fine for me. At this point, there's basically nothing I want in this pack.
Yeah.
The white and black card in this pack are playable, but not exciting.
Yeah. I mean, a 4/4 Vigilant Internalize is a problem. That is a threat they'll have to deal with, but it's sort of bland.
So the reason I did go with that over the 3/1 flyer, which I'll usually favor a 3/1 flyer just because of the evasion, and sometimes it'll kill people.
Sure.
So far, I was thinking, the removal and staying alive. So if my creatures have bigger butts and they're harder to kill, that's going to keep me alive.
So why Active Heroism over the God Pharaoh's Faithful?
I just don't want to play the God Pharaoh's Faithful.
Okay.
That's all that is.
It's funny because at the pre-release, you told me to play God Pharaoh's Faithful.
I don't remember what your deck was. I'm sure there was a reason for it. Also, I probably didn't tell you to play it. I probably said it was playable.
You told me to cut something out and put it in.
You were probably playing some garbage. Anyway, I got one of those 3/1 birds anyway. But I think I ultimately either didn't play it or just never drew it through the night.
Oh.
I was more excited about these Dutiful Servants.
Because of the big old butt?
Yeah. And it turns out, having a thing with big toughness doesn't really matter a whole lot, because they're going to have a removal for it. But if your deck is filled with things with 4 and higher toughness, they're going to have a hard time pushing through.
Yeah.
They're going to have to spend good removal just to get through your 2/5 with no abilities.
God, that would make me feel sad.
So through my games, what I was finding is my opponents would either have to spend their good removal on my 2/5 with no abilities so they could try and attack in, or on my 0/4 I could tap for damage so I would stop killing them. And it's like, all right, that's your final reward. Whatever. So I was excited about Torment of Venom to follow up this just pile of way too much removal.
Oh, yeah.
Lethal Sting's okay, but not compared to the other removal I already have.
You look frustrated right here.
Somebody was probably just telling me how handsome I was, and I got distracted.
That happens a lot at draft. Comes up all the time.
If I were remotely playing blue, I would take Hour of Eternity. That card is very good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what I took right here. I think the best pick would have been the Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs to pile that on. Oh, but I need deserts for that too.
Yeah, you don't have any deserts.
And then that desert's very good on its own as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy getting that. And it's much more likely that, if I want both of those and they work well together, it's much more likely the Forgotten Pharaohs will table.
True.
Because anybody in white will take that desert.
Yeah.
Also, more Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs.
Yep. There's another desert. Inferno Jet.
Inferno Jet was also very tempting, exciting. Getting Kepnet's Last Word immediately after that blue hour also made me realize, it's probably a good opportunity to be in blue here. But I was too committed into 3 colors at this point. Most heavily red, but I knew I wanted to play that Grind and Dust, and had some good white removal already.
Scrounger of Soul seems cool.
Yeah, also sort of big butt, hard to kill, and will keep me in the game with the lifelink as well. I like that card perfectly fine in a pseudo-aggressive deck, but then I identified real early that I was building a slower deck, and
so something
pile
more
it on.
mid-rangey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, another red desert.
Yeah, just want to make sure I had deserts since I was going that Forgotten Pharaoh strategy.
You ended up with some absurd amount of them.
Yeah. I wouldn't say too many, but I got too many of the red one. This one specifically.
Oh, I didn't mean deserts. I meant the Forgotten Pharaohs.
Oh, no, I would have played 5 more of those probably. So I normally like those camels a lot. as far as things that check for deserts and getting you value, but seeing that they die to everything, and that hasn't been the theme so far.
Sure.
Also, Sand Strangler is one of the better uncommons in
That's
the block.
the one that lightning bolts them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Lightning Bolt's a creature if you have a desert. So 4 for a 3/3 that kills something is ridiculous. Also, I got to leave it to my hand and replay it.
Oh, that's cool. Now, at this point in the draft, I mean, obviously it depends on the cards you're taking, and for your deck, you kind of value deserts highly. But should the average player be looking to pick up a few deserts at this point?
Almost every card in the set that says something about deserts is really good.
Okay.
So I think you'll find accidentally most of your decks you'll want 3 deserts probably.
Sure.
Not always. I've definitely drafted a couple decks already that don't ask for deserts at all, and that makes sense because other people are scooping them up.
Yeah. But it's worth it to think about. If you've got some cards in your deck that you want the desert, like they have a desert effect, you should probably start picking them up soon, or you'll be fighting over them. How do you feel about Granite Titan?
It's great. I think I like every creature that has cycling.
Oh, I didn't realize he had Menace too. Yeah, he's sweet.
Yeah.
But you take a desert. Turn it on those walls.
Yeah, I really want to commit to not having those 0/4s that do nothing. I just really wanted to avoid that.
Sorry I keep yawning. I don't know what my problem is. I need some caffeine before these Tuesday night drafts. Draft commentaries?
Sure.
Ooh,
Blur
Blurblades.
Blades, I don't think is actually a perfect fit for my deck. It is removal that kills some things, and it certainly stops hyper-aggressive decks, which would be my problem. I did find out it has super great synergy.
With grind.
Grind to dust, yeah. I did get to play in a game where end of turn, I Blur of Blades one of their guys, then on my turn, for 6 mana, grinded 2 others and dusted their whole board. And they were at 20 life and they just scooped. That was
Oh, wow. Wretched Camel or Giant Rock Monster?
I think I go with that Titan just because it's got that bigger toughness. You know, and I've noted already, I'm going for that slower.
And you can
Angle.
cycle it if you got it early and you don't
Yeah,
need it.
exactly.
Definitely don't want Crash Through.
Yeah, Crash Through's not for my deck. I'm surprised I took that Camel. I was probably worried about 2 drops. I don't think I ended up playing the Camel at all. I probably would have played another Dutiful Servants.
Okay.
I did end up with, I believe, 3 of the Walls of Forgotten Pharaohs and 1 of the Firebrand Archers. I think I had some other 2-drop as well, as far as creatures. So for a defensive deck, I still had a lot of good early drop creatures. So I'm just real committed. Like in the first pack, I was all Mardu,
Yeah.
and I never looked back. I
Yeah.
was just into it.
Yeah. It's kind of exciting, though. Like, committing to something that early and then having it pay off.
Yeah. Primarily red, and then picking up splashes of. It was primarily red with a lot of white, and then like sort of a splash of black.
So the cartouche actually is less good in this deck. The red cartouche.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I have any spot for the red cartouche.
You know what you want, though?
I would always play the black cartouche. And then I wouldn't play the white one in this deck either.
Yeah. You're going to give your wall first strike. You know what could have been interesting, though? There's a white enchantment that has flash. And whenever it's been played against me, it's been really annoying. But it's never been a problem. And it gives the creature +0/+3, and then all the damage that would be dealt goes to that creature that turn.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been funny in your deck.
Yeah, that would have been good. And then especially, so all the damage going to that creature is it comes into play effect for just that turn.
Yeah.
So I could leave it and do it again later. I've talked about how much I love this Vizier so much before. I did get to play it and leave it back to my hand and play it again.
Oh, look, there's the
I
red
did
and
some
the white
goofy
cartridge.
stuff. This was a cool deck. I had a lot of fun. Not what I usually play, in the sense that I usually just like to curve out on like good-sized creatures and just swing in for the attack. But I did
Final-
not do much attacking.
Final Reward here is probably the best pick, although there are a lot of interesting cards.
There are a few good cards, but Final Reward's definitely the best pick going on here. Just adding to my obscene amount of removal I already have. But now I've got like hard removal for if I've got like a god or just some huge problem creature.
Yeah, they're tough to deal with. If they cast a god, you gotta kill them in the next couple of turns, because that god's not going to stay away. Wasteland Scorpions isn't a bad defensive pick.
Yeah, I'm still excited about that because it's got the Death Touch.
Those Who Serve is just another big, huge thing. Well, huge backside.
And yeah, like I said, just having a few things with big toughness doesn't matter as much, but you pile them on, and it's really annoying for your opponent.
Could this be the deck with Unburden?
It could be, but it's not. I don't think an Unburden would have been bad in this deck. I think that the Minotaur is probably a good pick just so I have some way to push some extra damage through.
Yeah, you gotta put a little pressure on them.
And it oftentimes, it usually has 4 toughness when it's hitting combat.
Yep.
I don't think that's what I went with here. I think I went with a Scorpion, right?
You're thinking about it real hard. I hope you take something totally random.
Oh. I'm on the edge of my seat. Brandon, what are you doing? What a card!
I hope you take that Jeru's Resolve.
Just some garbage. Bird, okay.
Explain why you take the bird.
The flying.
It's got flying?
It's just the straight up flying. My thought was it's going to be a lot better evasion than
Sometimes
the
Menace.
Minotaur, because if I've got all these 2/4 and 2/5 creatures, they're not going to be able to attack into me efficiently.
Right.
So then they're going to have untapped creatures and be able to block my menace creature
Sure.
more efficiently
Yeah.
than if they were attacking into me a bunch.
So you just want some flyers.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
So you take the winged, what you call it? Nope. You take a huge guy. That's fine.
Yeah.
Block this. I don't think blue was very heavily played tonight.
Yeah, there was definitely, like I said, opportunity to play blue. I went with this, even though it's against the defensive theme I've been ranting and raving about so far, just to get more 2-drops in, because I was worried. I think I only had 4, which is an okay amount of 2-drops, but having an abundance of 2-drops is fine.
What do you take here?
These cards are all bad. I don't
Yeah,
know.
just pass the whole pack.
I should probably take Rags to Riches just to... What? Why'd I do that? That's weird. I don't know. I'm not thinking. The Kopesh would have been better. I should have taken Rags to Riches. That was weird. I don't know.
Well, he should have
was just
taken
random.
Rags to Riches.
Yeah.
Another desert.
Yeah. Just ensuring that desert dominance at this point.
Also kind of lets you fix for black a little bit, because your base
Which is
red
important,
white.
yeah. So it sort of doubles up its purpose.
And now you're like, huh, all these cards are bad.
Yeah, pretty
Well,
much.
Fling's not bad.
Anointed Priest isn't terrible, and especially it's got 3 toughness on it as
Okay.
well. I take the Fling just because I've got a couple things that I can fling.
I like the idea that you fling a wall at him.
Yeah. I think I don't believe I played Fling, because I only had like 2 things I actually would have had a lot of fun flinging. The Anointed Priest would have been a better pick, but I don't know if it would have made it into my deck anyway.
Sure. Festering Mummy?
I think Cants? Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
As far as hate drafting, because at this point I'm not going to play any of these. It's just a matter of what might screw my deck the most.
Mm-hmm.
Spider Grasp, I think, is the best card generically of those picks, but I think Cancel was the most likely to actually screw my deck over directly, because I am less likely to be attacking into their Spidery Grasp trick.
Yeah.
I was real happy to get this so late.
You don't normally hear that about a generic 2/4 with no abilities.
I had a few games where I played that and 2 2/5s, and they just felt like they lost. Like, no abilities. I just had 6 power and 14 toughness on the table, and they couldn't attack me with their 6 creatures. Yeah, get that gate going.
Did you play it?
No.
But you got it going.
You don't play that card unless you've got the other half of it.
Oh.
It was a weird last pick, I thought. I know that card's not as good as other versions of it in the past, but it's still blue removal. So, yeah, I think blue was really not picked up heavily. And so, yeah, if I didn't mention already, this deck, I thought it was going to be just a wacky, zany deck that wasn't going to do much. But it was crazy, super consistent. I stomped all over people, and I got to do it in like a weird, different way I normally don't. So, primarily the Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs. I would ping people down with those. The little red guy that triggers when you cast an instant or sorcery. I got a lot of damage through with that. And then I'd just either finish with a little burn or a little bit of flying. But mostly I had long, grindy games where I felt really in control the whole time. And a lot of that had to do with... Sorry, let's take a moment and appreciate my roommate's Nicol Bolas.
Oh, that's Mr. Manus. This
Oh,
time.
that was Manus. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Manus.
But so
got a
far,
Bolas.
we've done 2 drafts, and we've seen 2 Planeswalkers.
Not from me.
Yeah, not from you.
Just from neighboring friends.
Anyway. Sorry to interrupt.
The real strong point of my deck was I just had an abundance of removal, and everybody I played against at least just came out really aggressive, and I just had an answer to their opening hand every time. So playing a bunch of 0/4 walls and 2/4s and 2/5s, yeah, people just would run out of gas on me really quick. They would just end up with 3 creatures on the field and not be able to efficiently attack into me without spinning a good removal.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, because 4 toughness blocks a lot of the aggressive creatures in the format, and 5 toughness blocks everything else, unless they play, if they play a card that's going to run over your 2/5, it was going to run over whatever else you could have played, and then you just cast Final Reward. It doesn't matter.
yeah, exactly. And because I just had these vanilla big butt creatures on the field, there were a lot of times where my opponent's only option was to attack in and then play their combat trick.
Sure.
But as you can see with a lot of my instant speed removal, every time that happened, I always 2-for-1'd people. And it was like, they obviously have no choice but to try and do this and just hope I don't have the removal. But then I did, and they got blown out every time.
Or worst case scenario, you block and then bounce your 2/5
Yeah.
in white for some reason.
So yeah, 10 out of 10 would do again. Defensive Mardu. Not an archetype you hear about a whole lot, but was super cool.
All right, well, if you draft Defensive Mardu, let us know in the comments and tell us if it worked well for you. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.